The Dark Knight was the first new tanking job to be added to our game. It was one of the 3 new jobs that came with the Heavensward expansion pack. The job unlocks at level 50 in Isgard, but then starts you off at level 30, meaning you get a pretty chunky questline in Heavensward, covering the levels from 30 to 60. So in this video we will be exploring the first half of the questline, which is the one ranging from level 30 to 50. And next week we will be covering the rest of it from level 50 to 60. So let's get ready for the story of a Dark Knight in Heavensward. Our journey starts outside the tribunal as we hear tales of a recent trial by combat. Apparently the accused was something known as a Dark Knight, or at least that is what the man outside believes, on the account of the woman's fierce fighting style, and how they wielded an oversized sword requiring 2 hands to manage. Now the accused was slain during the trial, and rumors say that their body is to be thrown out into the broom. So we go there to try to spy this massive sword that everyone is talking about. We do find the knights in the broom just as they leave the body behind, expecting the poor people of the broom to pick it clean. In fact, they seem to think we are one of them. And while we aren't necessarily poor, we are still there to scavenge. Approaching the corpse, we spot a jobstone beside it. We reach out to pick it up, only for it to react with us. A strangely familiar voice echoes in our mind before we collapse, only to open our eyes, and the corpse is now up and standing there, very much alive. Now it's interesting to note here, depending on the gender of your warrior of light, this person can either be male or female, though they always wear the same armor. The woman tells us her name is Frey, and she is quite interested in the voice we just heard, though she does warn us that we are undergoing changes now because we touched the soul crystal. But do not worry, she promises to train us and gives us her soul crystal and sword, explaining that Dark Knight follows no law, only the rules of their heart, by bringing justice and striking down evil. She tells us that the knight who originally started the art of the Dark Knight did not care if he would lose rank or honor, as justice was worth any price, and our sense of justice is quickly tested. We hear a shout, and as we head over there with Frey, we learn a lowborn woman and her granddaughter were working in the broom. The woman bumped into a temple knight, and it led to the granddaughter yelling at the knight, who then grabbed her, taking her away to teach her a lesson, in what sounds like a really dark way. But we must stop this. And Frey seems to read our mind, agreeing and encouraging us to do just that, to strike down the knight and bring true justice by punishing them. Frey does make it clear we are not there for the girl. The girl doesn't matter in this interaction. We are not there to save a victim. We are there to bring rightful justice to the knights. And as we do just that, Frey teaches us how to tap into our inner darkness, to challenge our anger, hate, regret, frustration, any dark emotion, to fuel us, to bring justice to those who have done wrong. We do save the girl, and both the grandmother and her thank us. And those thanks, oh, they do feel kinda good, don't they? We know we did right, and that rightness is almost intoxicating. And as we take some time to learn to master this inner darkness, we soon find ourselves speaking to Frey again in the broom. This time we take the chance to ask Frey about the voice we heard when we first touched the stone. And she tells us that each Dark Knight has their own voice like that. It is there to guide them to their true calling. And as we get more accustomed to drawing upon the dark side, the voice will become more clear. But this process can be hastened by doing a ritual of communion. But this can't be done within the walls of Isgard, at least not if we want to avoid facing a trial for heresy. So instead, we make our way to Little Alamigo. There, Frey wants to start with some training. We must seek out a beast that will truly challenge us. So we speak to Gundobald, as he knows the area much better than we do. And he does direct us to the Red Labyrinth, where fears Peister aside, perfect to slay. In fact, these paiste are so fierce that even the hunters from Little Alamico simply try to avoid them. During the dialogue, Gundabald does express some concern about the look on her face, but we brush it off. And this is where our feelings start to be a little bit weird. And here is something that is easy to miss if you don't read the quest text in the journal. Throughout this questline, the Warriors of Light's emotions will be different than they would usually be. And while through most of this video I will just read the emotions as they are, here is an example of the first time we really see this. And it says, "It saddens you to see how weak and complacent Gundabald has grown, and how his cowardice has spread amongst his people. They fear to tread near a lair of mere paistes." These thoughts, when we think about them, are they ours or someone else's? Do we truly believe that Gundabald is a coward? Or that his people are weak for avoiding the lair of a creature that is much stronger than them? What we know is that these are the feelings whirling inside the Warrior of Light at this time, as they head out to kill the paiste. Frey watches us kill the paiste and then reminds us that strength is needed to deal out justice, and strength requires sacrifice, suffering, and this is a simple truth we already know, of course. But with blood being spilled, we can finally get to the rite of communion. Frey guides us into some breathing exercises, and then we can hear the voice again, though at the moment the meaning eludes us. But Frey tells us that in some cases the voice is the voice of an individual we are fated to seek out. Though of course it might be a long journey, but we don't care. I mean, if anything, this is just rather exciting. So we continue our training, but the voice remains annoyingly quiet. And eventually we must return to Frey again. He is not surprised and offers to do a second ritual of communion with us, this time at the burning wall in Thanalan. Like before, Frey tells us our ritual must begin with the offering of blood. So this time we seek out axe beaks in the area while Frey watches from a distance. And while we do kill the beast, something is lacking. The thrill from our last trial does not return. We return to Frey feeling frustrated, barely able to hide our expression. But Frey knows our heart and bids us remember this feeling of frustration, of annoyance. Treasure it, and it will serve to strengthen us during the communion in Camp Drybone. And as we head there and start our breathing exercises, we are distracted by Isambard, a man we encountered on our quest for Ifrit. He is here interrupting us because some foolish pilgrims have been kidnapped by the Amalj'aa, as if that hasn't happened before. And of course the brass blades and the flames are utterly useless, so we must go and save the day yet again and rescue the prisoners. We do remind ourselves and Frey that this is just what we do. But is it fair? The frustration is growing within us, anger and bitterness as we make our way to the Amalj'aa encampment. At least the Amalj'aa might serve as a momentary distraction or even a challenge if we're lucky. And we do save the prisoners and guide them out, and by the point we finally leave the camp, we are covered in Amalj'aa blood. And Frey asks us to not wash it off, simply leave it be, wear it with pride, for this is the work Isambard sent us to do. So he should get to see it. And when he does get to see it, the man is a stuttering, fearful mess. What a pitiful show, but at least we can have a good laugh with Frey over it, before at last we can finish the ritual. On a throne of bones he waits. Serve, save, slave, slay. And yet, the voice is still so distant. Frey is clearly disappointed, but seems to understand. We have yet to sacrifice fully after all, to throw away all the things that bind us, to recognize what matters and forsake that does not, to understand that we can't save everyone, that we should not have to save everyone, that we can't keep carrying all the burdens of a hero. Then she seems tired. And as Frey returns to the broom, we take some time to ponder and train. But we still remain unable to hear the voice without Frey's help, so soon enough we return to her again. and C is not pleased at all. The fact that we are not hearing the voice means while we hear her lessons, we aren't taking them to heart. So once again, we must have a rite of communion, this time at Morbid Dry Docks. As we meet Frey at the ocean, she brings up an old friend. A friend who became a hero, but then something seems to have happened. Though of course we don't get to hear the whole story, because we are disturbed by some commotion between a member of the Maelstrom and a merchant. So it turns out the merchant has been robbed by some Kikirin, the little rat-like thing, that do a little toot-toot sound when they die. And after spotting us, the merchant insists that we help him to get his useless trash back. And of course the Yellow Jacket and the Maelstrom are both being utterly useless in this, and the merchant is rather grating on the air, but he is saying that the Kikirin leader is apparently pretty powerful, so we head out there to deal with this mess. And we do not hesitate as we take down those Kikirin. It is a bloodshed worthy of songs as we decimate these rat beings, covering ourselves and the goods in blood. We then grab the goods, only to see Frey almost collapse. She is exhausted, but sends us ahead to return the merchant's wares. But as we do, the bastard tries to extort us because his goods are now soaked in blood, claiming that we should pay him at least 50% of the price. And as he does this, rage boils up in us, and then Frey is there, telling them all the things we want to say, how we wish we had just let Leviathan take the city, so we would be free from all of their constant whining and pestering. And then she runs off. So we go seek her out, still feeling the fury broiling inside of us. But at last we are able to perform the ritual again. And the voice talks about how the chorus of people ask us for help. And all we can do is nod and accept, but we do have a voice, and we should let that voice be heard. We stumble as we come out of the vision, and Frey tells us that we should leave this place. Leave everything. Leave the Alliance, the Science, Eorzea. Hell, we should leave Hydaelyn. Leave everything. And Frey promises to set us free. All we have to do is return to her, and at last we can be done with this maddening business. And Frey is right. She just wants what's best for us. So of course we return to her at the broom. She is weak, tired, and seems ready to collapse. And she is eager to get out of this endless snow. We do agree that our first location, when free, should be somewhere warm, maybe even tropical, somewhere far, far away from Isgard. Frey goes on ahead and asks us to call for her outside of the Gate of Judgment. But when we arrive there and call her out, we don't see her, though she sees us. But before she can approach, we are almost immediately distracted by two knights asking for our help. They're struggling with a band of giants who keep on attacking some caravans going through Danifin's Pass. They beg for our assistance, and while feeling perhaps slightly amused by the begging, we do agree. While the knights keep the giants busy, we take out the leader of the giants, and as we rendezvous, one of the knights tells us that he has been admiring us ever since he first saw us in Whitebrim, during the time we were searching for an airship. But it's not the fighting that he admires, but our compassion, how we are willing to help all, and how even the common man can find a friend in us. His words are warm and soft, and yet in the back of our mind that inner voice is shrieking out, but so distant. As we try to focus, another knight comes running over. It seems Lord Drillimon has got the news that we were assisting the knights, and now he demands we go to Whitebrim front, as there are apparently some accusations against us about us talking to a corpse. Now we don't remember talking to any corpses, so we head to Whitebrim front with the knights. But when we arrive at Whitebrim front, we find the knights on the ground, and amongst them we find Frey. And this time, she is determined for us to see the truth. You see, there never was any Frey. Frey was dead. The corpse we spoke to, well, that is the Frey we've been talking to. She was never actually alive. Instead, when we touched the Soul Stone, we didn't just want to learn how to be a Dark Knight, but we needed a mentor, and she stepped forth. The voice that's been calling out to us from our inner abyss. Our anger, our hatred, our fire took shape to guide us, and in our need for a mentor, she manifested. She took on the form of Frey, and now she reveals her true form, the one of our own. And we are forced to fight her, the winner being the one that will rule our body as a Dark Knight. But during the fight we realize we don't need to throw everything away to become a Dark Knight. We are stronger with others. Lord Drillimon comes to our help, and the people of Whitebrim cheer us on. And in the end we find ourselves victorious, once more the rulers of our soul. And our darkness is content to stay hidden within us, at least for now. Though she does promise that if we ever wish to take a break and give up control, well, all we need to do is ask. And such ends the first part of the Dark Knight story in Heavensward. Lord Drillimon gives a command to all those who saw the event, that they will never speak of what they saw this day. And Frey's body is taken and given a proper burial. And we are free to continue our journey to become a Dark Knight. Our dark feelings have calmed down, and as we make our way back to Isgard for the second part of the story, we are now once more just a warrior of light. Just one with a new set of skills and a new set of armor. But what happens next we will talk about in the second part, which will be coming out next weekend. Tell me, what do you think about the first half of the Dark Knight questline? For me, this is potentially my favorite job questline in the game. There's just something quite special about it. So let's talk about it down in the comments. And while you're down there, throw me a commentation by liking and subscribing. And in the end, all I want to say is tack för att horfa. Og the yndislegan dag.